see you high and lifted up. The grace and truth of God is shown in Christ alone, my righteousness. You draw my heart to see the Word made flesh revealed. Your grace has set me free. You're all that I want to know. I wanna make you known. Jesus, I'll make you Jesus Christ, I love your name, and for your fame, I give my all. Oh, my heart, my strength, my mind.
Good morning and welcome to today's message. Today's sermon is going to be short and punchy, and one of the things that Jesus Christ specifically came to earth to preach about. It's something that we recorded at the end of last year, but it's absolutely powerful and applicable, and I trust it will bless you today. I encourage you as a church to stay connected, to continue to engage, to reach out to those people you haven't seen for a while, to make a phone call, and to stay connected with us online as we continue to preach in this space. And we are trusting God for an incredible year. So enjoy today's message. God bless you.
So about 2 months ago, Eleanor and I went up to Moy River and to visit some friends. And so they started telling me about this project they're working on. So Moy River is a farming community, and then these friends live at this, they're on the property of this church, and so they're very much involved with the church. And so they told me about this project they're working on with someone else who's also in the church, and it's this thing called biocatalyst. And so this biocatalyst is, it's got many uses, but it's in the agricultural industry, it basically, you are laughing my ears. In the agricultural industry, they use it for, I'm trying not to It's like instead of using fertilizers and Roundup and those kinds of things, this is a more natural way of farming. And so instead of having your Roundup on your things and GMO seeds and whatever, this is supposed to be an alternative. And so the crop yield is much bigger, and it's a much healthier crop for us as humans. There are so many benefits to it. And so they are working, there's another guy, so there's a third person in the church he is a mega farmer. So I think he's the third largest potato farmer in South Africa. And it's an absolutely enormous farm. He runs this mega industry, and he exports the potatoes and stuff. And so they started through the connection of church and their relationship with him through similar mindsets in church. They've been able to build a relationship with him, build a bridge with him, and get him to start experimenting with this biocatalyst to switch from traditional farming methods that is not really healthy for us as humans in the long term, and to switch to this newer method. And so we just spoke about a lot about it, and how this could radically impact the agriculture industry if it works out, because this guy has such an influence that the other farmers could look to him and follow the same way. And so this thinking of how kingdom and relationship in kingdom and kingdom kind of minded people can impact the society around us got me so excited, and it's just something I'm really passionate about. So let's go to Matthew 6. And so, I'm humming a lot. So Matthew 6, there's Jesus on the mountain. It's called known as the Sermon on the Mount. And Jesus is preaching to people, and he's the Beatitudes and all those things. And then he teaches people how to pray. And so Matthew 6 verse 9, it says, "Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil." So I want to focus on verse 10, where it says, "Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven." The word kingdom in the Bible, it comes across many times in the Bible in the New Testament, and it kind of is used a little bit differently from what we might think of kingdom. And it refers to, so kingdom kind of points to God's rule and his reign. So I've got my John Piper quote. So John Piper says, "The basic meaning of the word kingdom is God's reign." He's R-E-I-G-N. Not the realm or the people. The kingdom creates a realm, the kingdom creates a people, but the kingdom is not synonymous with the realm and its people. So the kingdom in the Bible refers to God's reign. His reign as a king over the heavens. It's not so much the people or the kingdom of England or the English people or whatever. So, for example, in Psalms 103, verse 19, the Lord has established his throne in the heavens, and his kingdom rules over all. You can hear the basic meaning of the word as rule. He sits as king above his throne of the universe. His kingly rule, his kingdom, his reign, governs all things. The basic meaning of the word kingdom in the Bible is kingly rule, his reign, his action, his lordship, his sovereign governance. So when Jesus prays, "God, let earth become like heaven," let your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, God's saying, let heaven and what is in heaven, let that become, earth become like that. So if I had to ask you what is heaven like, there's many attributes, but there's order, there's life, there's abundance, there's just a radical life flowing, and there's joy, there's peace, there's all kinds of things. If I had to ask you what is earth like in contrast to heaven, 2020 says it all. It's crazy. There's war, there's pain, there's confusion, there's craziness. And so Jesus is saying, let earth become like heaven. He's praying, let earth become like heaven. Let earth have order. Let earth have God's kingly rule, his sovereign governance. So, a side note, 2020 wasn't all bad. I did get married. So what does this have to do with us? And so my first point is we represent heaven. In 2 Corinthians 5, verse 20, it says, "Therefore we are ambassadors for Christ, God making his appeal through us." So the Bible says we ambassadors of heaven. We represent God. We represent his kingly rule. In Romans 8, verse 29, it says, For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that we might be the firstborn among many brothers. So again, Jesus is saying, the Bible is saying we are like Jesus. We are ambassadors. We represent Jesus. We represent heaven. We are the brother of Jesus. In Luke 10, verse 19, it says, "Behold, I have given you authority to trample on serpents and scorpions, and over the power of the enemy, and nothing shall hurt you." We have been given an authority So we're not just here existing and worshiping God. We are absolutely doing that, but there's more to that. We represent, we have walk with the entire heaven backing us and on a mission. So point two, so first one was we represent heaven. Second point, kingdom needs to impact society. So that kingdom that Jesus prays, let earth become like heaven, it needs to impact every part of our society. The very fabric of society has got to be impacted by kingdom. Otherwise, we're wasting our time. It requires bigger thinking. John Ortberg, I don't read much books, but I managed to get this guy's book. And so the whole book is about how Jesus' life and his teachings that has radically impacted society over the years. Until the time of Jesus, there was no such thing as hospitals. Hospitals were inspired by the teachings of Jesus. Our very calendar refers straight back to the life of Jesus. Education didn't exist until Jesus. So, as people who represent heaven, as people who represent Jesus, we are to be like Jesus and have an impact on society around us, even in this day. Next page. So there's this church in America called Bethel. I think we all know Bethel. And I just love this story. I know there's a lot of controversies about them, but I love this story and that article that I read about them and how they are having a radical kingdom impact on the community around them. So some time ago, the local community auditorium, I think like the Civic Center, was really not doing well, and the church put a non-profit organization together to take care of the auditorium, and they fixed the entire management. And now it's being used, as one of the things it's being used for is this church's Bible school. The local police department was going through a tough patch, and they had to lay off 4 officers. They couldn't pay for 4 of the officers. So instead of laying the officers off, the church funded the officers. There was a fire, I think about 2 years ago, and 1,000 homes got burned straight down. And so the church gave each family member $1,000. So if you add that up, that's a lot of money. Because of the Bible school, so many people come in and out of Reading. It's a small city, and so many people come out of Reading that they've had to negotiate with United Airlines to start having daily flights coming in and out of the city. So when you have daily flights coming out of the city, it has a radical impact on the entire economy of the city. So this whole thinking of kingdom impacting not just like the preaching of the gospel, but it's impacting society. Like the gospel is big. The story of Jesus is big, and so it has got to have an impact. It has got to have an impact on society and the people around us. Then point 3. Kingdom vision. So Proverbs 29 verse 19 says, where there is no clear prophetic vision, people quickly wander astray. In Habakkuk 2 verse 2, it says, and the Lord had answered me, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so that he may run who reads it. So again, back to those friends who I spoke about at the beginning. Another thing that they are working on as a family, and this is like a little family project, is that in the year 2021, so next year, their goal is over the period of the year to sponsor the translation of the Bible into another language somewhere in Africa. So they're literally, that's as their salaries, part of their salaries is actively going towards the translation. They as the family are sponsoring the translation of the Bible. And so again, it got me thinking of how, like for my household, how am I intentionally planning on impacting the community, the kingdom? Am I intentionally planning on impacting kingdom? It's just almost like a shift. Instead of just kind of going with the flow and existing, and how am I actively engaging and bringing kingdom, bringing heaven to earth? So, yeah, it's not going to happen by accident. We need to be intentional. So, to summarize, First, we represent heaven, we have authority. Kingdom needs to impact society, and we need to have kingdom vision. So this, and I'm finishing off here. I don't know how much time I have left, but kingdom thinking, and so this kind of thinking it's big and all, but it requires faith. Sometimes society and the circumstances around us that don't always add up, and it doesn't maybe encourage us, but that's where faith comes in. Faith isn't denying the reality that we are living in. Faith is recognizing God and God's ability and authority He has given us, and moving regardless in the midst of the craziness and the chaos. So, just to challenge you guys, and I challenge myself and my household, is am I making decisions based on someone who's got heaven backing me? Have I got heaven? Does my thinking work out to someone who's got heaven backing me? Am I moving in authority? Am I just moving in fear and just kind of plodding along? Am I leaving the fingerprints of heaven behind? If I leave the room, does the room changed, or am I just leaving the room? If I walk into a room, does the atmosphere shift? Jesus radically impacted. I mean, in Peter, they brought the sick out into the roads if they knew Peter was going to come past that road, so that his shadow would touch the people. As he walked into, as kingdom people, if we walk into a room, we need to shift the atmosphere. It should be impossible for things to be the same. If Jesus walks in the room, things radically change. And so we as people who represent heaven need to have a similar intake. The room needs to be shifted. There needs to be a shift in the very fabric. Joseph was placed as second in charge of the entire nation. And as an administrator, he was, as a kingdom-minded man and administrator, he managed to shift the entire nation from starvation into feeding them. Nehemiah led the building of the city. And what they couldn't do for over 100 years, they managed to build in 52 days. Kingdom-minded people are able to transform things radically. And so that's what we need to become. We need to be kingdom-minded people and think kingdom-sized thoughts, have radical faith, have kingdom-sized vision.